IQ. He understands the sport. He looks at it in a mental sense. He knows what he needs to do.
And I said, yes, he did. He said, well, if Ray Leonard could beat Marvelous Marvin Hagler, then Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez.
Terence got a great chance to beat him, man. You know what I mean? Terence can box, Terence can move, Terence can punch. You know what I mean? Terence ain't gonna be doing like Skull.
Lennox Lewis expressed his astonishment at Terence Crawford's intense training for the Canelo fight, praising his discipline and sharp boxing IQ. He emphasized that when Crawford locks in with full focus, he always finds the formula to win, and this level of preparation proves he is completely ready for the challenge ahead.
Stay at the top and be at the top. He moves very well. He's a very elusive mover, and his work rate is high.
I won't ask you who's going to win the fight because I know it's a question you've probably been asked a million times, but I will ask you, do you think this fight goes the distance, or do you think this fight ends inside the distance?
Interesting.
Terence Crawford's trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, insists that the magnitude of the upcoming clash with Canelo Alvarez is not weighing on his fighter. He explained that Crawford feels no pressure, approaching the bout with complete focus and viewing it as just another challenge in his decorated career. Bomac highlighted that Crawford's preparation has been sharp, deliberate, and built around flawless execution, with a clear understanding of what must be done in the ring. For Crawford, it's less about the occasion and more about proving he truly is the pound-for-pound best. Confident in his fighter's mindset, Bomac believes Crawford is mentally composed, physically primed, and strategically prepared to shock the boxing world.
Have a fight rather than maybe boxing.
No, I don't think there's no pressure on Terence because Terence gonna fight the way that he's used to fighting. So by saying all that stuff that Turkey say or anybody else say, that doesn't bother Terence not one bit. You know, we train for one way, the way we're gonna fight, and that's the way we're gonna get the job done.
People talk about this fight and they talk about the outcome of the fight. The sort of narrative online is that, look, Terence was moving up in weight. But we all know Terence can crack. When that fight was made with Errol Spence, it was seen as a 50-50 fight, and in reality what it was one of the most destructive performances I've ever seen. Should fans be surprised if Terence could manage to stop Canelo?
I think that fans are going to be surprised when he dismantled Canelo. You know, the more time goes on, the more time Terence can settle into that weight, the worse it's off for the opponent.
The last one for me, because I know this time is now at that minute as you were talking, so I just had one more question. If he manages to get through Canelo Alvarez, does that cement his place on the Mount Rushmore of boxing?
You just answered the question.
Rhetorical.
Legendary commentator Larry Merchant drew a striking parallel between historic battles and the looming Crawford vs. Canelo Showdown, recalling Sugar Ray Leonard's stunning victory over Marvin Hagler, a fight many believed Leonard couldn't win. Merchant explained that Crawford's situation closely mirrors that moment in boxing history, the smaller, quicker technician taking on a naturally bigger, stronger champion. Just as Leonard relied on speed, skill, and ring intelligence to outmaneuver Hagler, Merchant believes Crawford has the style to replicate that formula against Canelo. He emphasized that sharp footwork, precise timing, and control of the pace will be key, noting that the blueprint for such an upset already exists, and Crawford has the tools to execute it flawlessly.
I asked the great Larry Merchant, I said, do you think Terence Crawford has a chance to beat Canelo Alvarez? And Larry said, Jim, did Ray Leonard get an official decision victory over Marvelous Marvin Hagler? And I said, yes, he did. He said, well, if Ray Leonard could beat Marvelous Marvin Hagler, then Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez. And I said, why do you say that? He said, same equation. Get in, get out. Get in, get out. Yeah. Over and over and over. He's got to figure the angles and the approaches that will allow him to step in, land to the body, or occasionally upstairs, and then get out. That's what Ray did so effectively against Hagler.
Respected trainer Buzzy Ennis made a bold claim when breaking down the fight, pointing out that Canelo Alvarez has shown signs of frustration in the past when facing slick, mobile opponents. He warned that Terence Crawford is exactly the kind of fighter who can test Canelo's patience. Unlike William Skull or others who lack the skills to trouble Alvarez, Crawford excels at creating angles, landing sharp counters, and forcing opponents into uncomfortable positions. Ennis stressed that this clash won't come down to brute strength, but rather to who can dictate the rhythm. If Crawford can frustrate Canelo and disrupt his flow, Ennis believes it could pave the way for a career-defining victory.